The moon falls. The universe had always been a vast, untamed place. Empires rose, only to fall. But the Galactic Empire, a powerful collection of species, had always believed Earth was a backwater planet, weak and insignificant. It had always been ignored until they saw the humans grow stronger. The first whispers of humanity's power were carried across the stars when Earth began exploring space. But the aliens had underestimated them. They thought humans were fragile and too weak to survive on the hostile worlds beyond their own. But they were wrong. It started with a simple plan. The Empire had sent out a fleet of warships, armed with devastating weapons that could level planets. They aimed to destroy humanity's hope before it could become a real threat. The moon, Earth's closest neighbor, was seen as a symbol. If they destroyed it, humanity would have no choice but to collapse in fear, unable to recover from such a blow. The plan was set into motion without any hesitation. The fleet arrived in the shadows of the moon, their weapons ready. Earth's military forces detected the incoming ships, but they were too late to stop them. At the break of dawn on Earth, the alien ships fired the first shot. A beam of light brighter than anything the human race had ever seen split through the skies. The moon's surface cracked like an eggshell under the force. For a moment, the world stood still in silence. The people of Earth could see it. The moon, something that had been a constant in their skies, a symbol of stability and beauty, was shattering. The first blast hit hard, and cracks formed across its surface. A second shot came and shattered large chunks, sending debris flying toward Earth. People stared in disbelief as the moon began to fall apart, breaking into pieces. Earthquakes rumbled across the planet as massive tidal waves slammed into coastlines. Cities along the shores felt the brunt of the impact as huge waves wiped them out. There was panic in the streets as people tried to comprehend what was happening. How could they fight back when their moon was gone? The aliens watched. They expected Earth to crumble into chaos, to fall into despair. This would be the end. Humanity would beg for mercy. The alien leaders smiled, knowing they had won. But something was wrong. The humans didn't seem to break. There was no widespread panic, no cries of surrender. Instead, the world came together. Governments, leaders, scientists, and the military worked side by side. The world had never seen unity like this before. In the face of such devastation, they had only one thought: to survive. The leaders of Earth didn't call for a treaty. They didn't plead for help. They called for one thing: revenge. Across the globe, people gathered to watch the destruction of the moon. But instead of mourning, they rallied together, their anger swelling with each passing second. People who had once fought with each other now stood united against the enemy. This was their home. This was their Earth. And no one would get away with destroying it. A new fear began to spread across the galaxy, even before Earth's governments could speak. The aliens felt it, the resolve in humanity's eyes, the fire in their hearts. They had made a mistake. The moon wasn't just a symbol of Earth, it was the very soul of their world. And by destroying it, they had awakened something they could not comprehend. The Earth's military responded. In the darkness of space, the first defensive fleet left Earth's orbit. But this was not just any fleet. These were the ships that Earth had secretly built for years. They were not only prepared for battle, they had the technology no alien force had ever expected. The first signs of humanity's strength started to show as their space stations and military outposts sent out signals across the galaxy, all in a coordinated effort to fight back. The alien ships were not aware of the stealth technology humanity had been working on for years, nor the massive warships they had hidden in deep space. And so, the countdown began. The aliens had destroyed the moon, but in doing so, they had unknowingly unleashed a nightmare. Humanity was not weak. They were not helpless. In fact, they were now more dangerous than ever. As the last fragments of the moon drifted into space, Earth's leaders made a single chilling vow to the universe. We will make you regret this. You've started a war you cannot win. And with that, humanity prepared for the revenge they had been denied. The alien empire would soon learn that destroying the moon was the worst mistake they had ever made. The galaxy trembled as Earth's first wave of counterattack spread out. The aliens who had believed they had crushed humanity's spirit now found themselves facing something much worse than any of them could have predicted, a fury that seemed to burn with an unstoppable intensity. At first, the alien fleet thought they could easily handle the situation. They believed that the loss of the moon would send humanity into a tailspin of panic, that they would collapse under the weight of such destruction. But the reality was far from what the aliens had anticipated. Earth's reaction was swift, organized, and relentless. The first sign of humanity's counteroffensive came from the defense satellites that had long been hidden in the dark corners of the solar system. These satellites were equipped with powerful weapons designed for one purpose: to defend Earth against any enemy at any cost. When the aliens saw the first wave of missiles launch from these hidden stations, they thought it was a token retaliation, a meaningless response to their massive assault. But they were wrong. The missiles didn't just strike aimlessly. They were precise. They targeted specific ships within the alien fleet, striking at the heart of their military power. Earth's forces had studied the alien fleet for years, learning their weaknesses, and now they were exploiting every single flaw. The missiles hit their marks with deadly accuracy, sending several of the alien ships spiraling into the void. The galaxy had never seen anything like this before. Humanity had taken a blow that would have shattered any other civilization, and yet they were not backing down. Instead, they were fighting back with a strength and determination that the aliens had never expected. The aliens began to panic. They had thought that their overwhelming firepower would be enough to bring the humans to their knees, but instead, they were facing an enemy that was more resilient and dangerous than they had ever imagined. The warships they had sent to destroy Earth's moon were now themselves under attack, and they had no idea how to stop it. But it wasn't just the weaponry that surprised the aliens. It was the human resolve. Despite the destruction of their moon, humanity's unity had only grown stronger. Leaders from across Earth's continents communicated with one another, sharing strategies, pooling resources, and ensuring that every single human was working together toward one goal: revenge. As the space battle raged on, Earth's military forces continued to launch strike after strike, each one more devastating than the last. They didn't just target the alien fleet anymore. They targeted their supply lines, their outposts, and their key infrastructure. The aliens had no time to rest. They were constantly on the defensive, scrambling to regain control. The most terrifying part of humanity's retaliation, though, was the way they fought. They didn't just fight with weapons. They fought with pure will. Human soldiers, pilots, and engineers worked together in ways the galaxy had never seen. Earth's forces used their knowledge of alien technology against them, turning the very weapons the aliens had used to destroy the moon into instruments of their own destruction. The humans weren't just fighting for survival anymore. They were fighting for revenge, for the right to exist, and for the future of their species. And with every passing day, the aliens began to realize that this was no ordinary war. This was something much bigger. Some of the alien commanders began to question their decision. Had they underestimated humanity too much? Had they gone too far in thinking that Earth's people could be easily crushed? They watched as more and more alien ships were destroyed, their forces dwindling. Back on Earth, the message from humanity's leaders was clear. This was only the beginning. The galaxy had made a grave mistake, and humanity would make sure they paid the price. No longer would Earth be a small, weak planet. It was now a force to be reckoned with. Humanity's counterattack was no longer just a response. It was a promise that they would stop at nothing to make sure the aliens knew the true power of Earth. The Galactic Empire had made a grave mistake when they destroyed the moon. Now, they would learn just how far humanity was willing to go to protect their own. And as Earth's forces continued to gain ground, one thing became clear. The aliens had awoken a force they could never defeat. Humanity was not just fighting for survival anymore. They were fighting for their future. The war was just beginning, and the aliens had no idea what was coming next. The tide of battle was shifting. The alien forces that had initially appeared so confident were now struggling to maintain their ground. Earth's counterattack had caught them off guard, and with each passing hour, their resolve was weakening. As more alien warships fell to humanity's relentless strikes, their confidence began to fray. On Earth, a sense of unity and determination had spread across every nation, every city, and every military base. Humanity had never been more united. Governments, once divided by politics and borders, now operated as a single entity. The loss of the moon had galvanized them, turning their sorrow and anger into pure, unrelenting focus. The Earth no longer felt like a small, fragile planet. It was a force, a storm gathering strength, ready to unleash its fury on anyone who dared to challenge it. The alien fleet, once proud and powerful, began to lose ground in the war. Ships that had been thought to be invincible were now torn apart in space, their debris floating aimlessly through the void. The humans were relentless, exploiting every advantage they could find, using their knowledge of the alien technologies and the space around them to their full advantage. They had transformed their grief and anger into a powerful weapon, something the aliens could never have anticipated. The alien commanders scrambled to regroup, but their efforts were in vain. As they issued orders and attempted to organize a counteroffensive, they found themselves facing a new, unexpected challenge. Humanity had not only launched strikes with incredible precision, but had also developed new tactics that the aliens were struggling to adapt to. Human ingenuity had become a weapon in its own right. Aboard Earth's ships, there were no luxuries, just the raw focus of soldiers, engineers, and pilots, all working together. Humanity's resilience shone through in every battle, in every strategy. They knew they were fighting for their survival, for their right to exist, and they were willing to do whatever it took to win. In space, a new fleet of human warships began to emerge, more advanced and more deadly than anything the galaxy had ever seen. These ships were built with the best technology from Earth's military, enhanced with the knowledge and tactics they had stolen from their enemies. Each ship was a symbol of humanity's resolve, a massive weapon forged in the fires of grief and fury. Meanwhile, the alien forces were becoming more desperate. They had underestimated humanity's strength and spirit, and now they were paying the price. The aliens' once imposing fleet was dwindling. Their command structure was starting to crumble, and even their most powerful leaders began to question their ability to win. In the face of this growing threat, some alien factions began to call for an immediate retreat, but others were still determined to push forward, believing they could break humanity's will. The rift between the different alien factions began to widen. Some were more pragmatic, recognizing the futility of continuing the fight. Others, however, were blinded by their pride and refused to surrender. Back on Earth, the fight was far from over. Humanity had proven it could stand tall against the galaxy's most powerful forces, but there was still much to be done. The war was far from won, and the future remained uncertain. But one thing was clear: the galaxy had underestimated the strength of Earth and the ferocity of its people. The aliens had believed they could simply wipe humanity off the map, but they were sorely mistaken. Humanity's leaders were already strategizing their next move. Earth's scientists and engineers were working tirelessly to develop new technologies, new weapons, and new defenses. They were preparing for the possibility that the alien forces might try to regroup, to strike back with everything they had left. But they knew that humanity would stand firm. They had already proven that they could endure anything the galaxy threw at them. Now, they would show the universe that they were a force to be reckoned with. As the battle raged on, humanity's message was clear. Earth was no longer just a small, isolated planet in the vastness of space. It was a superpower, and anyone who threatened it would soon learn the consequences of underestimating humanity. The reckoning had begun, and the aliens would soon find out just how powerful humanity had become. As humanity's warships surged forward, the aliens found themselves at a breaking point. The battle in space had escalated into something far beyond what they had ever expected. The once advanced fleet that had invaded Earth was now being torn apart by humanity's newfound might. Ships that had been thought to be indestructible were now nothing more than floating husks, drifting aimlessly in the vastness of space. The human commanders were no longer playing defensive. They had switched to an offensive strategy that pushed the aliens back at every turn. The alien fleet, once in control of the skies, now found itself cornered, outmanned, and outgunned. With each passing hour, the chances of victory slipped further away from the invaders. On Earth, a sense of cautious optimism began to take hold. The people who had once been fearful and uncertain in the wake of the moon's destruction were now confident, united by their survival and their resilience. The alien forces had made a critical mistake, underestimating humanity's capacity for survival. Now, they would face the full force of Earth's wrath. The global leadership had quickly reorganized, establishing the unified command center to coordinate humanity's response. Earth's military forces, from every corner of the planet, had come together, sharing their resources, technology, and strategies. It was no longer a war between nations. It was a war for the very survival of the human race, and Earth was determined to win. Despite the successes on the battlefield, there was no room for complacency. Every day brought new challenges. The alien forces, though retreating, were still a formidable enemy. They still had advanced technology, and they still had an army of warriors eager to avenge their fallen comrades. The war was far from over. In the heart of the battle, human forces adapted quickly. Engineers aboard the warships worked around the clock, integrating alien technology into their own systems, refining the human ship's weapons and defenses. The humans were learning fast, and with each victory, they grew stronger. What had once seemed impossible now felt within reach. Humanity had transformed from a species on the verge of destruction into one of the most powerful forces in the galaxy. As the alien fleet struggled to regroup, the true scope of their failure began to sink in. The thought that a primitive species like humanity could turn the tide of war had never crossed their minds. But now, faced with a relentless enemy, the aliens had no choice but to reckon with the undeniable truth. Humanity was not just a victim. They were a force that would stop at nothing to protect their home. The alien commanders, now desperate, ordered a full-scale offensive. An all-or-nothing assault meant to destroy Earth's defenses once and for all. But this move, driven by pride and desperation, would be their final mistake. Earth's warships, more powerful than ever before, were ready. The humans had learned from their mistakes and adapted to every tactic the aliens had thrown at them. In the cold depths of space, where every mistake could be fatal, humanity's adaptability became their greatest strength. And so, as the alien forces rallied for one last push, they had no idea that humanity's finest hour was about to unfold. The fate of Earth, and perhaps the entire galaxy, would soon be decided in the next few hours of battle. It would be a battle that would mark a turning point in the war, a moment when the invaders would realize that no matter how powerful they were, they had underestimated the resilience and determination of humanity. The atmosphere in the command centers on Earth was electric. After years of being on the defensive, humanity was now preparing for a final decisive offensive, with every resource available, every fleet at their disposal, and every mind focused on victory. The time had come to end this war once and for all. The alien fleet, battered and broken, had regrouped into a formation that was desperate yet determined. The commanders, knowing this would be their last chance to take Earth, had pushed their forces to the brink. The final push was their only hope. If it failed, the galaxy would witness the end of their dominion. The stakes couldn't be higher. But what the aliens didn't know was that humanity had been preparing for this exact moment since the very first blast that shattered the moon. Human forces, scattered across the globe and in space, had come together in ways that no one had ever expected. Their technology, once seen as primitive compared to the alien invaders, had been transformed by necessity. What had been Earth's greatest vulnerability was now its strength. The aliens had underestimated the sheer willpower and ingenuity of humankind, and now they would pay the price. In the heart of Earth's space fleet, the flagship, a colossal warship known as the Titan, was ready to lead the charge. Packed with the best fighters, engineers, and strategists, it was humanity's greatest creation, a symbol of their determination and resilience. The ship had been crafted using a mix of human innovation and stolen alien technology, making it an unstoppable force. This was the spearhead of Earth's final assault. The battle began with a sudden burst of fire. Humanity's ships unleashed everything they had, firing lasers and missiles at the alien fleet. The sound of explosions filled the void of space, but what was more terrifying for the aliens was the sheer precision and speed with which humanity fought. Their ships moved like a well-oiled machine, coordinated and efficient, their tactics impossible to predict. In the heat of battle, human commanders, who had once cowered in fear, now stood firm. Every strategy they had learned, every lesson from the devastating defeat they had suffered when the moon was destroyed, was now being put into play. The alien ships, slower to react and struggling with their own internal chaos, could not keep up with the relentless onslaught. One by one, the alien ships fell. Their massive warships that had once been a terrifying force in the galaxy were now being torn apart, reduced to debris. The aliens, desperate to hold their ground, launched their most powerful weapons, but they were met with a fury they had never anticipated. Human ships adapted on the fly, countering every move with ruthless efficiency. The aliens had made their fatal mistake, believing that the humans were weak, believing they could break them with a single strike. But humanity's resilience was their strength, and as the alien ships began to fall back, their morale shattered, the humans pressed forward with renewed vigor. No longer would they be a species on the edge of extinction. They had become the predators, the ones to be feared. Meanwhile, on Earth, the people watched the battle unfold. News stations and communication networks broadcasted live footage of the war in space, showing the incredible advances humanity had made. Crowds gathered in the streets, cheering for their military, their heroes. The moon, once a symbol of loss and tragedy, had become a symbol of rebirth and strength. The people had rallied around the tragedy, and now, it was their turn to show the universe what humanity was capable of. Inside the command centers, the commanders of Earth's military were preparing for the final phase. They knew this battle wasn't over yet, but the tide had undeniably turned. The aliens, once certain of their victory, were now retreating, their ranks in disarray. Humanity had proven itself, and the galaxy was about to learn that the idea of breaking humanity was a myth. The human forces did not stop. They moved forward with the singular goal of wiping out the last remnants of the alien threat. Earth's military was determined to make sure that the invaders would never again threaten their home. The final push had begun, and the aliens were running out of time. The commanders ordered the last wave of human ships to move in for the kill. The Titan and the other warships closed in on the alien mothership, the heart of their fleet. It was the final showdown, and humanity was ready. The final moments of the battle had arrived, and the alien fleet was in full retreat. However, the remaining forces, led by the alien mothership, still held a sliver of hope. The last warship was their strongest vessel, armed with weapons that had once been capable of destroying entire planets. But even the most powerful ships in the galaxy could not escape the wrath of humanity. The alien mothership, a massive floating fortress, was battered and scarred, its hull torn from the previous onslaught. The once proud and unstoppable symbol of their power was now a dying beast, trapped in the corner of space with no way to escape. The aliens had made their last stand here, hoping their most deadly weapon could turn the tide of battle. Inside the mothership, the alien commanders were frantic. The ships under their command were falling one by one, and their soldiers were losing hope. Desperation filled the air as they attempted to rally their forces for one last attack. The mothership's weapon systems powered up for the final assault, a blast capable of wiping out an entire fleet of ships. The galaxy had never seen such destruction in one shot. But the humans had anticipated this. As the alien mothership prepared to fire its devastating weapon, Earth's fleet, coordinated by human commanders, activated their final plan. A small, nimble fleet of human warships moved into position, their engines roaring with speed as they closed in on the mothership. This wasn't a simple attack, it was a deadly trap. The alien mothership, focused entirely on the approaching human fleet, failed to notice the Titan silently closing in from behind. The humans had set up an ambush, a trap that would ensure the mothership could never fire its weapon. With pinpoint precision, the Titan and its fleet launched a coordinated assault, targeting the mothership's most vulnerable points. The alien ship's shields flickered and failed as human missiles and lasers tore through its defenses. Panic spread among the aliens as their greatest weapon was dismantled piece by piece. The powerful beams from the Titan's cannons pierced the mothership's core, causing explosions to rock the massive ship. Fires raged across its surface, and the once unyielding fortress was now a broken husk of its former self. Inside the Titan, the crew worked with a focused, unwavering determination. They had prepared for this moment for years. Every person on board knew the stakes. They were the last line of defense, and they would ensure that Earth would never again be a target. Their victory was inevitable. The alien commanders, now realizing the fight was lost, tried to launch a final counterattack. But it was too late. The ship's engines sputtered, and the once mighty warship began to drift, its lights fading, its weapons silent. The last of the alien resistance crumbled as the ship was finally overwhelmed by the relentless barrage of human firepower. The remaining alien ships, seeing their mothership fall, attempted to flee, but they were met with a swift response from Earth's forces. The humans pursued them, pushing their ships to the limits, ensuring that no alien could escape to regroup and retaliate. The victory was decisive. The battle for Earth, the war that had begun with the destruction of the moon, had finally come to an end. The alien invaders, once so sure of their superiority, had been beaten by humanity's resilience, strategy, and unyielding will to survive. The final push had broken their forces, and Earth had emerged victorious. As the dust settled in space and the wreckage of the alien fleet floated in the void, humanity looked to the future. The people of Earth had faced their greatest challenge and come out on top. The aliens had underestimated them, and now they had learned the hard way that Earth's people were not to be messed with. Humanity had proved their strength, and the galaxy would never forget the power they had awakened in the wake of the moon's destruction. Now, Earth could breathe easy for a while. But the guardians of the planet knew that the universe was vast, and new threats could emerge at any moment. Still, they had proven one undeniable truth. Humanity would never back down, and anyone who dared to threaten their home would face the full fury of Earth's might. In the end, the last stand had not just been a victory for Earth. It was a message to the galaxy. Never underestimate humanity. The aftermath of the battle left Earth and its people in a state of shock. The sky had cleared, and the stars once again shone brightly, but beneath the quiet was a deep, unspoken understanding that the universe had just witnessed a profound shift in power. The moon's destruction, the catalyst for everything, had sparked the fire of humanity's strength, a fire that now burned brighter than ever. The warships that had once been in disarray now formed an organized, intimidating presence around Earth. Their crews, battle-hardened and victorious, stood at the ready. But it was not just the ships that were ready for the next challenge. It was the entire human race. The very act of fighting for survival had united them, made them stronger than any alien force could have predicted. On Earth, leaders and commanders convened in a secure underground facility, a far cry from the chaos they had faced in the days before. Among them, General Alexander McAllister, the mastermind behind Earth's victory, stood as a symbol of hope and resilience. His once graying hair, now streaked with white, seemed to shine under the dim lights. He was no longer just a military leader, he was a hero. "We've shown the galaxy what happens when you make humanity the enemy," he said, his voice firm, yet calm. "The aliens thought we were weak because they didn't understand us. Now, they know better. We're not just survivors, we're fighters." The room was silent. The words carried weight, each one echoing with the impact of humanity's triumph. Commander Layla Rivers, the head of the Earth Fleet's operations, stepped forward. "We've already begun receiving communications from the remaining alien factions. Some are scared, others want to negotiate. But they all have one thing in common: they've seen what we can do." Her words were met with a murmur of agreement. Humanity had made its mark. The galaxy could no longer view Earth as an easy target. The aliens who had once viewed humanity as weak now understood that provoking Earth meant war, and humanity was ready for that fight. However, not everyone was celebrating. In the wake of the battle, questions lingered. Why had the moon been destroyed in the first place? Who had been behind this initial attack? What other dangers might lie ahead? The war might be over, but the true nature of the enemy was still a mystery. In the quiet moments after the victory, deep in the command center, Captain Samuel Hayes stood alone by a massive view screen. He gazed out at the distant stars, reflecting on the enormity of the situation. His crew had given their all, and they had won. But that victory came with a cost. Many soldiers, pilots, and civilians had sacrificed their lives. The moon may have been gone, but its memory, its significance, would linger forever. As he stared into the vastness of space, a transmission beeped on his console. He glanced at it, then typed in the security code to view the message. It was from the Galactic Council, the governing body of the most powerful species across the stars. The message was short, direct, and chilling. Earth has made its presence known. The galaxy has been reminded of the power that lies within humanity. Proceed with caution, for humanity is now a force to be reckoned with. But remember this: not all who gaze upon Earth do so with peace in mind. Some may come seeking retribution. Samuel's eyes narrowed. This wasn't a message of congratulations. It was a warning. He turned to face his crew, who were now gathered around him. "We've won the battle, but the war isn't over. The galaxy has seen our strength, and not all of them will accept that. We'll need to stay vigilant." As the crew nodded, the weight of their responsibilities settled upon them. They had shown the galaxy that Earth could be a formidable force. But now, they were bound by an even greater responsibility: protecting their planet from any who might seek revenge. The victory had been sweet, but it had also marked the beginning of a new era, one where humanity would no longer be the underdog. The galaxy, once filled with the belief that Earth was just a small, insignificant speck, would now see a different truth. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was a force to be reckoned with. Captain Hayes turned back to the view screen, his mind set on the challenges ahead. The stars had always been a source of mystery and wonder, but now they were a reminder of the universe's vastness and the dangers that lay hidden within it. The galaxy would never forget what had happened here. The moon had fallen, but humanity had risen. The universe was about to learn the price of underestimating Earth, and Earth was ready to face whatever came next.